Cassidy doesn't have a place in Overwatch 2. In Overwatch 2, the best characters are long-range heavy hitters or flankers with fast mobility and great escape potential. And what do you know, Cassidy doesn't have any of that. And the same rule applied to Overwatch 1. But why was Overwatch 1 Cassidy so much better than Overwatch 2? Well, let me tell you a little story about a character called Ashe. When she was first revealed, she was compared a lot to Cassidy. Like Cass, she had two forms of firing. A fast fire rate, which does low damage but high DPS, and a slow fire rate, with high burst damage. They both had an explosive AoE ability and a movement option, but everything Cassidy could do, Ashe could do better. And Blizzard quickly realized this, so they had to make a change to Cassidy. So they looked at what made Cassidy unique, and they amplified it. So obviously Blizzard would choose to update the flash fan the hammer firing speed. What? Why? Oh wait, I got it. His primary firing speed. What are you doing? His flashbang. That's all he had to touch. That's the one thing he has. What are you doing, Blizzard? So if you couldn't tell, in very typical Blizzard fashion, the entire community was like, we know the right answer, and then Blizzard chose the wrong 3 answers for like about 3 months, which is, typical Blizzard behavior. So eventually they upgraded his flash to last about like 10 extra milliseconds, which felt like an eternity when you're playing against it. So changing Cassidy's fire rate didn't help, and changing his flashbang was a little bit too OP. So what happened? Well, in competitive, Ashe was replacing Cassidy in almost every role. But as time went on, the same scenario would happen. Characters like Genji, Sombra, Tracer, and Reaper became really oppressive. So most people would swap off Ashe and go Cassidy to counter them. With time, Cassidy would find his place in the roster again. Blizzard would take away all the buffs Cassidy received in the meantime. And everything was good. Cassidy had his place, Ashe had her place, things were working. Well, why did things go wrong in Overwatch 2? Blizzard removed Cassidy's stun grenade in order to stop all the CC, which is fair. But this badly affected Cassidy's role in the game. See, every character has a thing I call the respect zone, or if you want to be smart about it, their optimal range to fight an enemy. We're going to look at all the DPS's optimal range to fight the enemy. It's a bit rough around the edges, but you get the idea. When hip firing, you want to keep the enemies extremely close. And when scoped in, you do lose a little bit of visibility around the sides. Bastion's primary fire is really good for poking at long range. You're never going to do anything with it otherwise. And we know how turret form works. Don't walk into the giant minigun. Simple as that. Echo's kit is really good at long range poking, but she does excel at close range burning enemies down. She is like a shotgun laser beam hybrid, so it's a bit iffy. Genji revolves around his dash attack, so just stay in range of a dash, and that's exactly where you should be playing for Genji. Hanzo's good at most ranges, but if the enemy is too far away, you are relying on too much luck instead of skill. Any half-decent Junkrat will tell you that being close range is infinitely better than spamming from long range. Trust me, give it a try. Mei's projectile does a lot of damage, does more than Cassidy headshot at close range. So you want to play in between wall range, her freeze gun range, and also her projectile range. Pharah has high mobility, so she can literally be anywhere and be effective from anywhere. It doesn't matter where she is, if she's got an angle on you, you're fucked. There's a shotgun man, he's close range, what do you expect? Although if the enemy is bigger, the target is easier to hit. Sojourn's got great spam potential, but the thing is, it's really hard to reliably hit a left click if the enemy's really far away. Soldier does rely on landing his Helix rocket, so you should be playing closer, although it is easy to just be fucking annoying and pepper people from far away, but it's not optimal. Sombra, obviously just want to keep close, all of that stuff. Also, keep your translocator close, don't throw it a year away. Symmetra's pretty complicated, you gotta play in range of her turrets, but also you need to play in range of a teleporter. But she also got a buff to her right click, which makes her projectiles faster, which gives her that like little bit of extra range she really needs. But besides that, play decently close, like in a boxed area. Torbjorn's a menace at long range with his left click, and obviously right click is a shotgun, so play close, although it's got a predictable spread. Tracer recently got a stealth buff, which makes her range even longer, so, a bit like Sombra basically. Widow's SMG, obviously keep it close range, use it to pick off enemies, play within Venom Mine range. Her scope in ability, hey, that shit is dangerous, you know how it is, but she's very vulnerable from the sides. It's called tunnel vision. You just look straight ahead, fucking flankers sneak up on you, and that's about it. She's a very simple character. Just respect her sightline. Cassidy has huge damage drop-off. Also, his main bread and butter is his sticky grenade, so you do need to play in a closer range. So, he's kind of shit in every regard, right? And that's Cassidy's problem in Overwatch 2. He's not good enough at close range to be like a Reaper character, and he's not good enough at medium range to be like a Soldier character, and definitely nowhere good enough at like Ashe or Widow to be long range. And this is the controversial part. How are you gonna say he's not good at close range when you have a tracking sticky bomb that like insta-kills enemies if you one-tap him and sticky him? Well, here's why. Overwatch fundamentally is about counterplay. You pick a character to fuck over another character. Now Blizzard has said they don't want that, but then they actively add characters that they're a bit fucking dumb, right? But Blizzard doesn't want it, but they keep adding characters. The game is all about countering people. And in Overwatch 1, Cassidy was the prime example. Cass versus Tracer, Cass versus Reaper, Cass versus Genji. He counters them with skill, right? And like a shit Cassidy player would flash fan the hammer. That's how you know they're bad. Save fucking fan the hammer for breaking shields. It's more optimal and efficient to left click. Get good at the game. Anyway, anyone with half a brain cell can realize that flash was needed and it wasn't OP. I don't know what rank you're in where you think you can walk into the enemy backline or just dive in without any repercussion and think it's okay. You've got to be unironically, fundamentally not understanding how gameplay should work. You shouldn't be able to do that, and that's what Cass did. He allowed that not to happen. But here's the thing, there was counterplay to it. Tracer has recall, Reaper has Wraith, Genji has dash and deflect, Mei has like wall and ice block. You know, most characters had a way to counter it. But if the characters Cassidy was supposed to counter had a way to counter him, how does that work? How is he still the counter? Well, it's because of the respect zone. See, people think, when they think of Flashbang, they remember, oh, Flash Fan the Hammer, it was so oppressive. No, it was literally, if you're on his deck, he will kill you. That's the whole point. I'm gonna stand next to my Ana, so you can't just kill the entire team in half a second. That's his counterplay. But why was it so effective? It's because the flash was instant. Genji deflects, you throw it to the ground. Tracer, you could predict her recall or where she's gonna dash. Reaper, it's easy to time, he's very slow when he comes out of it. It's like cookie cutter, like fucking mathematically easy to do. And that's the key, that's why Flash worked, because it was instant. Now imagine a world where Flash wasn't instant. It had like a timer. It stuck to you and it timed and then it exploded. What could you do? Genji could easily deflect it. Tracer could recall while it was stuck to her. Reaper could Wraith, Mario could fade, Zarya can bubble, Ryan can shield, D.Va can eat it, Ryan can block it, Junker Queen can shout, Ashe can coach gun slash be out of range, Bastion can turret form slash be out of range, Cassidy can himself now roll and negate the damage, Echo's like nowhere near Cass half the time. Obviously, Ana can sleep, Ana can nade herself, so out heal the fucking kill percent threshold, Bap can immort, Briggs got a shield slash boop, Arisa can spin and eat everything, Hug is just unkillable, Hanzo can dash away slash play at range, Sigma can shield slash eat, Winston's just got a bubble and he just never gets hit by anything if he plays it around it properly, Hammond, he's got a lot of health, Soldier can, you know, slide away, it's unbelievable. Junkrat can trap you, Junkrat's probably spamming at long range, Fire's in the sky, damage drop off makes it so you can't kill her, fucking Soldier's far away, Soldier can out heal with his healing pad, Sombra can teleport away, Symmetra's kind of fucked, she's a sad character, Widow's out of range, Ana's out of range, you know, fucking Lucio's out of range, he's speeding, he's too fast, you lose track, Mercy's just impossible to hit as any character, Zenyatta's fucked, thank god. that is it. That is it. He can hit ball, and Zenyatta's dead, and besides that, he's fucked in every other regard. Okay, you're playing Sombra, and you're going to uncloak to kill the Zenyatta in the enemy backline. The entire enemy team turns around to look at you. What do? You translocate and run away. You're playing Reaper and you're getting ready to dive with your Winston, when your Winston fucks up his bubble and dies instantly and you're left in the open. What do? You Wraith out of there. You're playing Tracer and a Hanzo's looking directly at you. You recall so you don't get headshot, even though the arrow's probably not going to go near you. You hear Roadhog pushing you while you're playing Sojourn. What do? You slide out the way of Hook. You're playing Ashe and Doomfist dives you coach gun him and yourself away. You're walking out of spawn and you suddenly remember, You're playing Genji, so you dash back into spawn and swap to the easiest hero in the game. And then there's Cassidy. L. So he's easily countered by the abilities that he's supposed to counter, and he's basically got no movement abilities. But is the grenade, at least at the very minimum, consistent? Alright. What about his ult? His ult was horrible in Overwatch 1. Surely they fixed it now, right? Right. Don't spam me, don't spam me, don't spam me. Oh. What a good ult. Oh, fuck me. This clip has everything I just talked about. It has me getting killed by Reaper because I have no mobility, and it also has him denying my only survivable option with his ability that I'm supposed to counter. And now on the opposite side, I'm playing Ashe in this clip, and I use my mobility to get away from Winston, I use my long range damage to kill Ashe, and I use my dynamite to kill the support.
Your perks, res back right, whatever is back right.
Mercy, Widow 1. Got her. Thank you, Anna. Freaking no immort.
Mercy half, mercy half.
Support's on fire. Literally, why would you ever play Cassidy when you can literally do everything I just did? In a cruel twist of fate, Cassidy has turned into Symmetra. What the fuck do I mean by that? Well, everyone knows it's no secret that some maps are better for some heroes, right? But Symmetra was the pinnacle of that. Hanamura, which you motherfuckers don't know about anymore, you would go Symmetra and teleport to points. Symmetra was only used to get out of spawn quickly, or maps where you could teleport somewhere. She was very situational on very specific maps. Cassidy didn't really have that problem in Overwatch 1. Maybe third point Havana, well not maybe, third point Havana was the like, don't play Cassidy here. And the reason it was so bad is because it was completely long range. There was no flanking routes for the DPS to like go behind, so there was no need for Cassidy. You might as well just go long range. And now we take a look at the Overwatch 2 maps. They all have long range, but a ton, like millions of flanking options. So why isn't Cassidy thriving? Well, it's because he doesn't have flash anymore. He went from the guy that looks after the flank to the guy who does no damage at long, does shitty drop-off damage at medium, and a grenade that doesn't fucking work and connect, or can be countered easily. So when does Cassidy work? Cassidy works in close range situations where you need to sneak up on the enemies with low escape options. Here's the checklist for Soldier and Widowmaker, just for examples, right? They need sightlines, and that's literally it to make their map viable. Cassidy needs a load of cover, right? Because he's got no mobility, he just walks in the fucking open and dies instantly. He needs a flank option to go behind the enemies like Widowmaker and Soldier, and he needs all of this to be in a secluded area so that when he does finish killing the enemies, his team is still close enough to heal him, right? And I have one example of a specific place that comes in mind. My team just used all of their ults here, so we have to hold close, otherwise they're going to make too much room and use their ults. Believe it or not, the enemies had a Soldier and Widowmaker. So after we team wiped them, I made the decision to go up onto the flank route, which is near my team, and I waited for the Widow to respawn, and I shot her once and threw my grenade and ran away close to cover. I do have another example, but I was listening to music, so I have to mute it. But this is the same exact situation. I'm going on a flank route because I see the two long-range meta heroes on high ground, and I have to do something about it because otherwise I'm useless. I'm just tickling enemies. And look at the scenario. It's a flank route, and my team's near me for backup. And it works perfectly fine. And I do a cheeky little teabag because I fucking cancelled 2 DPS ults. So, what do I want? If Blizzard was to go to my house personally and say, you play Cassidy a lot, what do you think should change? Personally, I want them to remove the grenade altogether. Because it's a shit ability. It either doesn't work and it's useless, or it's completely just unfair to fight against. It's not a fun ability for anyone. I think Blizzard needs to change Cassidy's role altogether. Because think about it, Cassidy's role is to look after the flankers, but that's not what the game is about anymore. It's not about fucking CC and controlling where enemies are anymore. The game itself, inherently, in Overwatch 2, is to run around and have more freedom. And that's why I think they need to change him, and they need to give him different damage numbers and things like that. Ignore the flashbang. They're like forcing Cassidy into the role of still like looking out for the flankers when the game doesn't revolve around that anymore. Characters have more movement options. They don't get affected by CC. There's too many counters, you know. He's doing it. It's like Cassidy is literally stuck in the old Overwatch 1 days. He needs to move on. So that's what Blizzard needs to do. They have two options. They either need to change his character numbers, right? His health, his long range, his drop off, all of that shit, so he can compete with everyone else. Or they give him a new ability which is consistent and fair. I don't want something that's OP and fucking blows people up and they instantly die. And I don't want shit that does nothing, right? That's what you got. You got to make his ability either good and consistent, or change his character and his damage numbers so he himself is good and consistent. So far, he's got none of them. And that's why he's the worst character.